So, well, first, good afternoon. I'm very, very happy to be here. Um, um, Thank you for allow me and give this type of access. Um, I am I never prepare anything, any PowerPoint, anything. I just thought about like talk about it spontaneously, and whatever it comes, it comes. So my name is Carlos Parra. Um, I I am from Colombia. I was born in a city called Cali. That city is located 2 hours away from the Pacific Ocean. I have to say that because geographically it's a very uh, well, in Colombia the geography changed a lot, so it's very hard and it's a lot of music around. So I was born premature. I was born 3 months before. I weighed 2 pounds, um, and the doctors never told my parents. Well, no. After that, they put me in the incubator for a month, and they in the incubator they put an overdose of oxygen, and the oxygen burned uh, my retina, both of the eyes. And after that, my parents didn't know anything. They took me home, and like a month uh, later, my dad noticed he was like curious of looking at my face, and I was not following, like chasing his look, uh, and he was like, "Hey, why this guy is not looking at me? I'm looking at him. The babies look at you." And they decided to take me to a special clinic for like a special ophthalmologist place in the capital in Bogota. And they did. They took me there, and they said, "No, this baby is blind. He's been lost his sight, probably because of the negligence of the doctors, because it doesn't. We don't see another reason why he lost his sight." So that's how they found it out. Then after, we started the process of, and they started the process of getting over it. Which I think they did it very well. And when I was, I remember the last time I asked my parents why I don't see, like I was almost like 5 years old. I was pretty little, and it was kind of like, it was making like a lot of noise on my head, hearing like the comment that, "Oh, don't just be careful, don't get very close to the stove because you can burn, because you don't see, so you would know that there's dangers in front of you." And I was like, okay, it means I don't see. But for me, it was like that's I think I was getting used to it, so I never realized because I haven't seen anything. And then I told him, okay, why? Can you tell me why I don't see? And then they couldn't at that time. At that moment, it was like a shocking question I asked as a little kid to my parents. Anyways, after during that period, my dad started seeing that anytime we were going out and take walks, and there's music around, I was stopping, and I didn't want it to keep going. I just stopped, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I was saying, "Music, music, music," and they were like, "I think this guy might like music, but maybe." So then they put me in. They put me in school, like special school, not special school. I'm so sorry, a school for like a program for kids to learn flute, and I was 5 years old. I remember that. And during that same time, that same period, I was studying in special school, kindergarten, primary, the first couple of years of primary school in special school. So I went to that program for flute, and my mom sat me there in a chair, and she gave me a flute, and she left. She said, "Well, good morning, good morning. Okay, thank you very much to bring your kid. Okay, bye, thank you. See you later." In 2 hours, she left. And I remember I was like trying to take the flute and like get sounds of that flute, like very, very, very little, like not making a lot of noise. And I don't remember anything else. What she told me is that when she went to pick me up, the teacher she said, are you the mother of the blind kid? And she said, yes. Okay, well, unfortunately, we're not able to give him classes. Like we're not going to be able to teach him flute because he's blind. So it's going to be it's going to be impossible. Like it's not going to be any way to teach him. So my mom was like, okay. She was really sad, and she left. She took me, and she went home, and she was crying, and she told my dad, and my dad said, I think I should talk to the teacher and maybe talk to her. She might not, she doesn't understand, but let's talk to her. So he went, he asked her why they're not able to teach me flute if there was music, and music gets in by your ears, not by your eyes. And then she said, I don't know, I find it a bit difficult because we don't have any method to teach him. And he said, how about I pick couple classes, like particular classes with you. We don't have money because we're not having money, but he sacrificed a little bit to pay like particular classes with her, like two classes at her place, so I can feel like the instrument and know how the sound and start like getting into it. And she accepted, and then after that, then she was very happy, and I started playing flute. And then we were playing like in quartets and quintets of little kids playing flute, and I was really, really happy. That was giving me a lot. That was, I don't know, that was like a very, very, that was a beautiful feedback from the music. And I take that as a great instinct from my parents that they did for me, which was they follow it. They felt that could happen that way, and they didn't give up. And that's how I started with music. Although now that we're talking about like, or that I want to talk about following instincts, I consider that I'm not coming here to say that I had a life full of lovey, no challenging. Like I had a lot of really difficult periods in life, even if I follow the instincts. But I think that was always the best option, to listen to yourself. So when I was 7 years old, almost 8, they put me in another musical program that it was for kids again, but it was in university. And I started, everything was fine apparently, but from one day to another, I started hearing like refusing, like comments from teachers saying like how this kid is going to be able to hear music, and how we're going to be able to teach him. It's very impossible. And by the way, I have to say that as a blind person, or as a visually impaired, I don't know how we're going to call it, I don't mind. I experienced a lot of different kind of refuses, sometimes direct, sometimes very indirect. And I got kind of used to it, because it doesn't mean also that everybody's going to refuse you, but society like systematically refuse uh, certain people who are not kind of like uniform or equal, as they want to call it, normal, which is nothing's normal in this life. But uh, yeah, so I kind of got used to it, so used to it that I had to learn how to go and play a game against that to avoid it, that refuse hit me and knock me down. So uh, I was supposed to start piano, and they told my parents and I that they couldn't teach me piano. And that was again the same battles and the same kind of like ridiculous talking and like nonsense at all. And one day there was a woman that I really admire and I love. She is still my friend, and she lives in Colombia. She approached to me. She said, "Hey, Carlos, I want to let you know that I am a piano teacher, and all this university is doing to you, it's very bad, and I don't agree. And I would like to teach you how to play the piano if you accept." And I said, "Sure." And she said, "But we're gonna we're gonna start at my place. We're not gonna do it here. We're gonna do it privately at my place. Although I have a lot of busy time, but I want to create a method." And uh, she taught me how to play piano. Thanks to her, I I can play the piano. Uh, that was a beautiful uh, period, and I learned, and I still learning a lot from this woman that I really respect and admire. Um, I want to say in the middle of this talking that this is the first time I heard the terms ableism and autism, I think, which I heard from uh, the previous person was exposing here. And it's very interesting that we are talking about this right now, because as she said, I forgot her name, but because I'm not chatting the chat is a bit hard for me in with the just. But anyways, uh, we don't use the terms in general. Like, we don't talk about the invisible difficulties that are more than disabilities, but the invisible barriers we confront or we have to live with every day. It could be simple things, but they're invisible. Anyways, um, I I was studying in a reg- I was studying in a special school, like, with deaf and blind kids. So they're deaf on one side and blind on another side, and that school was really good. I learned a lot there. I learned how to write braille, and I learned how to like feel things with my hands, and how to communicate in other ways. But they had a politician, oh, not like a policy. Sorry, they had a policy, and their policies were that after you've been in your second grade of primary school, you'll be out of that school because you will go to the regular school. Why? Because for them, you needed to get used to it, to be in real life since you were little. And that's what I did. That's what they did. And then for me, that worked very well. Um, I I studied from third grade to fifth grade, my primary school in a regular school, and that was a wonderful period. But then when I changed to secondary school, like no, to middle school, which we're going to call it in English, um, I started getting a lot of bullying from teachers and students, and there was a lot of like, well, a lot of things you can't imagine. They used to call me names, and they used to um, call me weird things, you know, and they were really, really gross. And some teachers as well, not all the teachers, but some of them, they sorry, they used to call me names. And when I was at the end of middle school, I felt that I couldn't continue in that place. So I told my parents, please, I need to be out of that place. I need to go to another school. And they were like, yeah, but we don't have a lot of money, but let's find another school that it's a better quality, because if you say you can't, and they found another place, and I start for high school, and that was a big change. That was a big change. That was the best transfer I did in my period of my teenage years. I was playing piano, but I was very, very depressed. And when I did that, that changed everything on like the conversations, the type of conversations, the subjects we were taking, the way we were talking, the jokes we were making. Anyways, that was a huge jump. So I don't know if if I forget stuff, I'm gonna go back, but I just continue. So I think again, this instinct of changing the path, when you see that you should not be in this path, and you change it, and then you see that you're getting better. I think again, we have to listen to ourselves, and sometimes I don't, but I try to listen to myself. And anyways, I graduated from that school. That was 2007, 2002. And I applied for study at university again, but as an adult. And I said, I want to study music. I applied for music. I passed the exam, and I started, and everything again, that was fine, cool. Like partners, it started like that was another type of difficulties too, because for sure, even at university, you get judged from some from some of the partners. But you know, I found two or three people that was hanging out and studying and talking about the subjects that we like, and everything was going okay until one day the teachers opened an assembly and said that they couldn't continue giving me the classes because I was blind, and they wouldn't be able to teach me anymore. And little by little, they took me out of the university. And at that time, I had a visa to go to the United States, which I didn't want to go. I don't want to go, and I didn't want to go. But when I started seeing that, it's funny because I was telling my parents I don't want to go, but my mom, she knows that I respect my piano teacher very much. So she told her, please talk to him, because maybe he's going to listen to you more than what he's listened to us. And then one day she sat me down, and she gave me a beer, and she said, okay, how you feeling? And I was like, I'm feeling good. What about your visa to go to the United States with your parents? Are you going to go? And I said, no, I'm not going to go. I'm going to stay here. And she said, are you fucking kidding me? And I said, no, I think I'm going to stay here. And she said,
sorry.
Yeah.
There's just a question for clarification. If It's
Yes.
partner as in sweetheart or a partner as in a work partner? That's a question for the interpreter.
Um, oh, work partner, work partner, work.
Thank you.
Yes. Uh, so yeah, she said, if I would be you, I will leave because in your situation, look how they're refusing you here. You don't want to be like that. Do you want to like graduate from the university knowing that you got all these refuses and maybe you can't even graduate? And I thought about it and I said, you know what, you're right. I should go even if I don't want to go. And at that time I was already taking the cane and going outside and taking buses and taking transportation and using it. And I was learning how to survive, in the streets in Colombia, like how to cross the streets and how to get into the bus, get out of the bus, because that's kind of like you have to develop techniques because it's not that easy. Not everybody is that respectful, and it's rough. It's simply rough. But I was used to it, and I had a lot of like, not a lot of, but good friends where I was going to listen to music, and I love. But I said I'm gonna miss all of that, but let's go to try it. And we left. We left in 2003. And uh, 1 week after we got there, I I already I already felt that I was dying, and I was dead. I was not myself. I was not in the place I like. Not like it's not like here. It's not like when I'm in Montreal. I love Montreal. I love the city. I really really love it. But that was in Florida. That was in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I don't know what the reason was. But then I start finding that the reason was that there's no transportation at all, and they have like adult transportation, but I couldn't qualify for that, and they had no buses. There's no it doesn't make you don't have fun walking there. Like you go to take a walk, and there's a long distance to go to anywhere you want to go. So I was telling people that, and people were telling me, well, get used to it, man, get used to it. And I was thinking, okay, that means people are not listening. They don't, a lot of times when they don't feel what you're feeling, they don't listen. They just want to give their opinion right away. And they're like, well, you better get used to it, or you ask somebody to take you, and that's it. You're good to go. And I was like, no, that's not. Um, I mean, I don't think I will get used to it. I don't want to get used to it. And I no, I think I don't know what to do. But anyways, I started school, and after being in university, they took me down to high school because I don't speak any English. That was a huge hit too, because you have there is a big difference between 14-year-old kid and 18-year-old adult kid. So I started in a like local school close to my place, and the same day I started, they told me there's an opportunity for you um, to go to a special school. And I said, I don't know if I like special schools, but what they're offering. And then they said that the good thing is that you will learn English there, because the school is located in San Agustin, Florida, which is in the north, and there's like not a lot of people that speak Spanish. And you'll decide if you want to be there. We're not kicking you out of this school, but we're just giving you the options. And I said, oh, you know what, I think I want to apply. And I did apply, and we follow up the whole structural protocol for applying. And I got there. I got in, and I did 2.5 years of high school with visually impaired environment, and it was learning, I think, because you see a lot of different vulnerabilities, even on you. Uh, my vulnerabilities were that I didn't speak the language. That was my first um, difficulty, because imagine if you're blind and you need to communicate and you don't speak the language, then there's a big challenge there, because nobody can make you or make signs to you, or like is because people are visual. I think that's the fact that the people are really really visual. Then it's a real challenge for us. I graduated from that school and I went back to West Palm Beach, and I said, okay, what am I going to do? I need to do something, but what am I going to do? I was 21 years old and no documents, and I started to think and to get depressed, and I started to play music, but then I needed to make more money to live in, and also I wanted to study, but I couldn't study. Then I found a job in a supermarket, and I started working in a supermarket as a bagger, and then I started working in another place that there's a company and they needed someone to speak Spanish and English, so I was picking up the phones, but I was not happy there. And why? Again, there was the transportation. I remember I went to New York City, being in West Palm Beach. I had a couple of friends in New York, and I called them, and they said, come here, though, and come here for a couple of weeks, or I don't know, a month to see how is it here. And I went there, and I found it wonderful. And I was like, oh, New York, oh my God, this is a different environment than Florida. You have transportation around, you can walk. It's rough, but it's okay. I mean, Florida is not easy. It's not that less rough, And uh, I went 5 times to New York City, and I was like thinking, should I go and move to New York City? But not having documents, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I keep working at that supermarket until I got refused from immigration, and they gave me like a 2 months to go. And when they gave me that 2 months to go, I was thinking in Canada. I said, the only option I think I will have, and I don't know if I will get accepted, but I should try, is to go to Canada, of course, illegally. And of course, you have to be soon. And I tried to appeal in my case, and they let me appeal. So I did appeal. So they gave me 1 more year. So in the year they gave me, I said, I'm going to make more money so I can go, because I need money to pay for the, for the days I'm going to be traveling, going there. And I used, from that year they gave me, I used like 6-7 months I didn't stay the whole year. And there's a friend of mine that he studied high school with me in Colombia, and he went to visit me. And he said, well, it's a long story, but I will resume it because I don't want to stuck in that story. But after being on my place for like 1 month, he started asking me if I wanted to go to Canada. He could drive, and he could help me to cross the border. And I said, okay, that sounds very well, but I don't want you to do it just because of me, because I don't want you to have a problem, and I don't want to feel responsible for that. And he said, no, I do it because of me too. So it's because of you, but also I want to help you, but also I want to go and see what's there. And um, one day we planted that, and but I have and start forgetting something very, very, very important that I have to mention. In the 2008, this all happened between 2008 2009, and the 2007 at the end. I qualified for a mobility or like mobility orientator, like orientation mobility instructor, and he went to see me to see if I was able to like walk in the streets and everything, and he was saying, "No, you're fine. I don't know what can I teach you because there's nothing much to do here, but if you want, we can go to the malls and walk in the malls, and just as a more than a mobility teacher, as a company." And we started walking like there was like once per week. And one day he said, "Hey, Carlos, why don't you apply for a guide dog?" And I said, "No, then I should apply for a guide dog. I heard that guide dogs are for people who needs to be guided, and it means that if you're not independent." And he said, "No, that's not true. You can be independent. You have to be independent if you want to get a guide dog, because you don't want to put the responsibility to the guide dog, and you are, and you should apply." And I was like, okay, but I was not like connected to that. And he said, "Think about it, man. Think about it." And then some like a week after, he told me again, "Should apply for a guide dog, man." And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna think about it." And one morning, I started googling for guide dogs, and I found a school in New York, in New Jersey, and I sent an email, and then they called me, and I follow up the process, and then they sent me like 8 months after, they sent me a letter telling me that I got accepted for a guide dog, and they told me also that confirm if I wanted to go or not. At that time, I was doing that by myself, and I was not telling my parents because I wanted to surprise them. So I said yes, and I told my parents that in 2 days I would go to New Jersey, and my ID card was expired, and I could be deported if I take the airplane. But I said, I'm gonna take the airplane. I don't care now. It's been a lot of pain, and it's been a lot of things I'm dealing with. And if they're gonna deport, they're gonna deport. If not, they're not gonna deport me. But I'm gonna take the risk. And I passed and the good thing is it was a national flight for sure, but it couldn't check and send me somewhere. I went to New Jersey. I stayed for a month, and I went back with my dog. His name was Sawyer. He was beautiful. It was a beautiful black lab, and that was the best gift I got from that country. That was a beautiful experience, and he came with me to Canada when I crossed the border, also with my friend and Sawyer. And I don't know if there's questions, because I'm just talking and talking, and if somebody has a question or already wrote a question, I don't, yeah. If not, I can just keep going with the
Nope,
story.
there's no questions so far.
Okay. So yeah, and I I we planned to cross the border in August 2009. We were very anxious and very nervous, and we didn't know how, but we were already thinking that we wanted to do that, and they said we we tried to cross on August 23rd, and we got caught by the U.S. police. And then they arrested us, and they took us to like a small room, and they started like cursing us and torturing us verbally, and cursing my dog. And they were like being really, really bad. Like they wanted me to react bad. And then they put us like there for like 5 hours. There's no like nothing. We're in this small room. And when they found that we had nothing, like we didn't want to tell them that we wanted to come to Canada, and I never said anything. And they didn't know what to do, and then they took us to immigration, which was worse, but I was happier because in the immigration they cannot curse you like that, or they cannot shut you. There are cameras, but where we were before, there was no cameras, there was nothing. And they were cursing my dog really bad, and they were like trying to make him react like aggressively. My dog was really gentle. So after that bad experience, they led us with immigration officers, and the immigration officers, they told me, you know, we don't know what we're gonna do with you guys, but you might go to jail, or you might go to Colombia. We don't know. But then they start checking my situation and my friend's situation, and I had still time, you know, because I appealed for my case that I had like 5 months, and my friend, he had a visa, so we were technically like officially we could stay in the US. Like they couldn't arrest us, so they said, okay, finally we're gonna let you guys go. But before they let us go, I was thinking maybe they're gonna send me to Florida, and if they send me back to Florida, I'm gonna make money again, and I'm gonna do it again, because I'm not gonna. I haven't forget that I have this as a plan, and I'm not gonna let it go that easy. So no, they didn't send us to Florida. They didn't send us back. So they let us go. Like at 1 p.m. That was a big nightmare. And 6 hours later, we crossed again the border. I mean, we tried and we crossed. We got arrested again by the Canadian police, but they treat us really different, and they took us in to immigration, Canada immigration, and that their next day was my birthday, my 25th birthday anniversary, and I turned 25 years old in immigration offices, and because they took us there for 2 days. After they let us go, and we had, you know, find, they sent us to Montreal to the YCA, and then after we had to find like the life, what to do here, and that was a big long process. I felt Canada opened the doors for me, and you know, kind of like embrace us and welcome us. But it was not easy still, you know. We had a lot of challenges. My first 2 or 3 years, I suffered from a lot of hunger. I was hungry all the time because I don't have enough food, and I don't know how to cook. It was my first time I left my place, and I don't know where to find groceries, and how like to be successful in that. The services, I have to tell something, and I think you guys should will be agree if I denounce, but I lived different kinds of also racism. I went to um, the Mackay institution, and they didn't allow me to have that transportation, and they said that I was really independent, so I didn't need to get that transportation. I said okay, but I have my dog, and in winter it makes like this is very cold for him sometimes to wait in the streets, and it's sometimes it's to use it sometimes. And then they said, no, you're not allowed. And I didn't believe that, guys. So I went to apply for the adult transportation, and the adult transportation accepted. So I never understood why the people in the Mackay Center told me I was never allowed to have that service. I met people that had more vision, like I have 0, 0, uh, and they have the adult transportation. I don't have it right now, but I wanted to have it with my dog sometimes. And also I wanted to see if that what they were denying, if they were telling me the truth, and they were not being honest. So anyways, yeah, that was a big a challenge also to integrate. As I told you, and I think a lot of people that came here to talk, they experience refuse in different levels. When I tried to go to study French, uh, um, I really really wanted, and I went to the school, and I fill out the form. They say yes, you accepted, good. But it took me like 7 months because they wanted to prove if I was legally blind. They prove it, so they say yes. And then at some point, I was getting ready to start class. The director came and told me in French. I don't speak French at that time, but I was an interpreter. She said, "I am worried because you're really far from your place, and the distance is complicated to come for you to here to come here. So maybe you better find another school." And I said, no, but I like this school here. I hear a lot, like good references from people. And she say, yeah, but it's far for you. For you, imagine you're gonna be walking every day, taking the metro every day. It's really hard. And I was saying, no, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And I was saying, no. And I was saying, I hope she doesn't refuse because I'm blind. And then she saw that she was what she was trying was not working. So she said, no, but look, the school has a lot of stairs. Is you're gonna have to go up and down all the time the stairs, and uh, it's gonna be really hard for you. Uh, and I said, it's gonna be okay. I grew up in a two levels house, with 2 floors, and I had to go up and down every day. That doesn't represent like difficulty for me. So I said, you know what, I know you're nervous and I understand. I know you could be afraid to take me, like scared of the case of the fact that I'm blind. I understand, but why don't you give me the opportunity? Let me try. If I feel that I put in the class behind because of me, I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna tell you, okay, let me find another school, make me like help me to find another place. But I don't want the class to be behind because of me. But if you don't let me try it, you're not gonna know. And she said, okay, go for it. And they let me in, and that was fine. That was okay. But it's also that like we have to be successful, but we have to be double successful, and we have to prove it, but we have to double prove it, because when you're blind, they double judge. And I'm not just talking about blind, but I think when you have a disability, the people will try to find where are your faults, or like where are you mistaken. So they're gonna go deeper in that, and that's the problem, that you have to overprove it that you can do it. And for sure that could be stressful, because everybody make mistakes as humans. Everybody make we all have different abilities, and and disabilities, but we all have different potentials. We can't have everything, and that's why we make mistakes, or we're not maybe all prepared for everything. But when they're double judging you, it's a big this scene, or like the scenario is like you can make more mistakes because you feel that they are over observing uh, how you're doing it. Anyway, so mm, I also wanted to tell another story. Yes. So, and there's another story of, that happened to me, and I never thought about it. Um, and sometimes you never think about it when you haven't experienced something until you experience it. Um, I was super happy using the metro and using the bus, and using normally the transportation that in general here is really good in Montreal. Walking, and there's two things that happened to me. Um, the first was that I was walking on the metro platform, and the metro was coming, and I said, "Oh my God, the metro is coming!" And I didn't really know the platform very well. I didn't have like orientation and mobility classes at that time, because I don't have the right to have orientation and mobility here to get to know the city. I had to get to know the city by myself, and I fall into the metro rail, to inside of the inside of the metro, sur la voie, inside of the metro, the hall, and the metro was coming, and instinctively I just turned around and got out of the metro rail, and the metro passed in front, and uh, I was super scared, and I got into the metro, and the metro arrived, opened the door, I got in. The person, the operator of the machine, went out, and he went towards me and asked me, "Are you okay? Did the metro touch you?" And I say no, and he said, "That that is." It's super scary what just happened, but it told me the truth. Are you okay? And I said, no, I'm totally okay. I'm totally okay. And he was super scared, and I was like in shock, but I was trying to like, oh, let's forget about this. Let's forget about this. Nothing happened. Let's forget about this. Metro left. I was in Royal Metro, and when we got to Berry-UQAM, there were like 5 police guards waiting for me, and they said, "Come, you have to come with us." And I said, "Okay." And I was like, "Oh gosh, I don't want to go there with these people. They're gonna start interrogating me and asking me questions." And they took me into a special room. They start like putting like an X-ray in my head to see if I was okay, and I was fine. They start asking me questions to see if I was still like conscious, and I was totally conscious. And then they said like 2 hours after, it took me for 2 hours. They asked me a lot of questions like, where are you from? How old are you? And at some point I said, look, I'm not crazy. I'm just blind. So I'm okay right now. I'm okay, but I just want you to know that I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to jump into the metro. I'm not drunk. I'm just blind. And say, okay, we understand, but we're gonna have to take you to the hospital. And they said, no, no, I don't want to go to the hospital right now. And I said, why not? And I said, because I don't want to go. Like, if I go to the hospital, for how long you're gonna take me there? And they said, for like maybe 6-7 hours till you wait there and see if everything is okay. And I said, no, I'm not willing to go for 6-7 hours. I need to go to French school tomorrow, and I'm gonna go to the hospital. And they say, okay, well, then you need to sign, like you need to sign up, like fill out this form, like put your name in and sign. And I said, okay. I mean, I just know how to sign, and but I'm not gonna go to the hospital. And then I said, but you know what? If you want me, because they were kind of like recording me, recording everything. I said, you know what? I'm not have the intention or money to suit you guys because I don't. I don't want to deal with lawyers. I it's no, it was an accident, and I don't have the intention to do that. But I feel that there's something missing in the metro platform, which is the dots. There's nothing that indicates if we have the limits and where we have to stop and not keep going. And they said, "Oh, this is a great observation, and we're gonna put that in mind." And I said, "This is weird that I sometimes go to another station, and when I get off the metro station, there are the dots there, and when I come into the other side, there's none. So it's like it doesn't make any sense that some directions you have installed the dots, and the other directions there's none. So where to trust, you know?" And I don't want to say that because of that they did, but I think there was a big call for them because at that time I had a girlfriend, and we were always taking the metro. And when we got to Berry-UQAM, she always told me, "Oh my God, there are like 3 policemen that are looking at towards you, like staring at you. Why?" And I never wanted to tell her why. And she was always telling me, "Oh, there are 3 police guards that are staring at you. Why?" And I never told her why. But I think for sure that was a big head, that impacted them, but also that impacted me as knowing that I could be killed from the metro without wanted. And a couple of years after, I got hit by a car in Rosemont Street, and there is a woman who passed her car on my left foot, and I got like injured. My foot didn't get any fracture, but I was injured, and she left. She told me in French, "I hope everything is fine." And she left, and when the ambulance arrived to pick me up, they start asking me a lot of questions, and then when I fill out, like they complain to La SAC, they always make me feel guilty because they're asking me like, "But how come you don't know who was the person that passed the car on you?" And I was like, I can't know this. I'm totally blind. And they're like, "Yeah, but there's people always in the street that could tell you." And I was like, who could have told me? Like nobody got approached to me and told me anything. So these kind of things, it's really hard. Like it's easy to understand from the logic point that you're not going to know anything, but it's hard to understand also from the logic point that how they inspect, or some people inspect that you have this kind of answers that you're not going to have at all. um so yeah. um I don't know if there's question now, but if not, I can continue.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
um my guide dog, he was like a big friend, like the best, my other brother I had in Montreal. I used to take him everywhere. I used to take him to the parks, and I gave him special treatment, which was I let him play with the other dogs all the time. I let him be pet by people, and he had to learn that he needed to work still, like he had a lot of freedoms, but then also he had to learn that he when it was the time to go, he had to be concentrated. That was a beautiful relationship because he loved to be out. He was enjoying a lot going outside, and because he knew that he was going to have like a lot of play time and also a lot of walking. I got very criticized from some people that told me that I shouldn't do anything like that because the guide dogs need to be on duty, uh, and on duty. That's the word. And I always said no, but it's my dog, and I know him very well. And I think thanks to have my guide dog at that time, it helped me to find this city uh, as very friendly. Like I find Montreal is friendly, but yeah, and also to find the obstacles we have in this city too, because the obstacles I find normally are in summer more than in winter. I love winter, by the way, because uh, there's snow, only snow and machines for sure. I feel afraid of machines, but it's fine. But if you go in the summer, you have terrace, you have construction panels, you have bikes, you have people running, you have people talking on the sidewalks, you have people bumping on you and cursing to you because they don't even see that you're blind, because everybody's overexcited. Is super excited. I cannot imagine how people is going to be excited here after this pandemic uh, passed, because because for sure I understand that we have long winters, and when summer comes, everybody wants to explode and they want to go out. But for me, that represents that I have to be double careful, because nobody is watching. Like a lot of people are not watching what they're going or how they're going. They're just going for it. And um, that's, I think, the most difficult uh, situations I find. I always find it in summer. Like I hit a lot of times the construction panels whenever I never inspect those in the street, or the political campaigns that also. And another thing that I found that made me feel a bit insecure of looking for a job because now I feel different. Now I'm different. But in the 2015, I went to work in Honor restaurant, and they said they will give me a training, and they will pay for a training, and then the training will take like 2 or 3 weeks maximum. And after that, I will get into like the marché au travail, like I will be inside of their uh, from the staff. And time passed. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1.5 months. I was still in training. For me, I was fine. I wanted to just get in. I was feeling very orientated already. For sure, I had doubts, but I was feeling better. And they were like, no, you need to. We need to keep putting you in training. And then I was in training for 3 months and no pay, no salary, nothing. And then one day I got fired. And they said, no, you can't be here because you don't have the talents or the potential to be here. And I said, okay. But then I understand if I don't have the potential, but when are you guys going to pay me? Because then I haven't been getting any check from you guys in 3 months. Oh yeah, no, like soon, later, like yeah, like that. It was like that, like not really relate to my question. And then they said maybe pass in, I don't know, maybe in 1 or maybe in 2 weeks. Yeah, actually, maybe in 2 weeks. We don't know yet, but yeah, like that. And they was not engaged in that question. And then one day I went there directly in person, and then they told me that's not the way the way you're acting is not the way we work. We work in a very different way. And I said, yeah, but how? And they said, it's not that we don't want to pay you. We're gonna pay you. And I say, okay, yeah, I know you're gonna pay me, but when? And then he said, no, you know what? I'm gonna pay you in 2 days. In 3 days, I'm gonna deposit the money in your account. but I'm going to give you my phone number. He was like that. I'm going to give you my private phone number and call me because I can't offer you another job because you're a musician. And I said, okay, but I never called him because the way he was talking to me, I think he thought that I that I would call him and then I would accept the job, and then we would like kind of like forget about the other pay check from the previous one, and then we just continue like that. And I said no, and he said, yeah, call me. We go for a beer and we talk about it, and I find it that like very delicate because imagine how many people they get exploited here when they are like um, when they have a disability, and perhaps they don't have any family here, or perhaps they don't say what happened to them, and they're being exploited from from work from work. And yeah, I never accept to call him, and he never paid me at that time. So I went to the commission of the commission of work, the Commission de No de Travail. I went there, and we follow a complaint, and they did pay at the end. But if I wouldn't know that that exists, if I wouldn't know that I could go for that right, if I have the right and I would never go for it, they will never pay. So that's something I always questioned. In top of that, you have a disability, they want to jump on you and crack you down. Like um, I was kind of like insecure after to look for a job, and I was also looking in their Facebook page and in their website, and they were saying, we're here to help blind people, visually impaired community, and doing this is totally the opposite of being helpful. So I at the beginning I was thinking maybe I don't want to talk about it because, but no, I think we should talk about it because this is an unjust, and we don't know how many people are being exploited, but others who are in that situation or worse situation. Um, Now I have two volunteer jobs, and I used to work in a daycare for kids, to play music for kids. But now everything is stopped, and I had two volunteer jobs. One is um, giving Spanish courses in the friendship house, uh, and the other is in the court with immigrants. So all people who arrive here and they ask for refugee, then they give them a conference, and I translate that from French to Spanish. And yeah, that finally I got my documents. I want to study something. There are like three or four things that I love, and I haven't decided what exactly I really want to study. But I love radio, and I love social work, and music I like, but I don't think I want to study music because I think from all the reviews I got, I feel like a little bit uh, prevent maybe, or scare, or I don't know what's the feeling there. But I keep playing the piano. I keep playing the piano, and I keep playing music all the time because that's that's my other partner. um, I think also um, at the end of this conference that um, if anybody want to contact me, I can give, I don't know how to put this in the screen, but I can give my email or even my, even my phone number. Some people don't want email. And I think this is a good space to contact each other because we are a bit isolated. I'm not saying as a community, like we don't know each other. We don't know. I don't know where I can run into another person who is in a wheelchair, maybe want to have a beer, why not? Or want to go and I can push the wheelchair and the person can tell me left or right, you know, that it's something we need to start doing here, I think, because yeah, I go sometimes to see or to run it to get together with a small blind community in the set, but I think there's more people, and there's people who want to integrate more, and I think we should. It is our responsibility as well to work to a little bit together and to help each other in different ways.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So if
Yeah.
you want, there's some people who have written some comments in the chat I can read to you.
Yes.
Yeah, so Rodrigo says, Carlos, we love you.
I love you guys. I love him too. He's my friend. He's a good friend.
Jennifer says, this is a great topic.
Thank you. Thank you.
And at one point during your story, when you were describing some of the obstacles that you were facing, Sandra wrote in the chat, oh my God, this ableism.
Wow. Yeah.
Jennifer has written here, dogs are incredible creatures with a great soul. So glad you knew your dog and loved him like a brother. I always say, all you need is love and a dog.
Wow.
There's a lot of people, when you were saying your story, we can see one person on the screen, Michelle. And Michelle was nodding and gasping when you were explaining your story, especially about falling in the metro. I think that impacted a lot of people.
Yes. Well,
Yasmina says, thank you for sharing all of this. It's so generous of you. Arturo says, Carlos, greetings from Mexico. I am Ivan. Hola bien.
yes. I know this guy.
Sarah is saying, I just want to say this talk has been incredibly moving. Thank you for everything, Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There are some questions. Do you want me to read them to you?
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Sure. So the first question here, Yasmina asks, or says, I often feel anxious when I'm outside the house because of the pain and danger I've experienced when my access needs haven't been met. The world feels scary to me. Do you feel similarly, and how do you deal with that?
I feel okay, but I get scared for sure. And in certain situations, for example, when I arrive to, I'm gonna put a point in Montreal. I don't know if a lot of people who are connected are from Montreal or living in Montreal, but when I arrive to the point of Sherbrooke and Papineau, and I try to cross the streets, I feel anxious, and because the streets are kind of like a curvy. They're not straight, so you need to kind of like align to the cars instead of following path, and that is a very difficult crossing, and you can easily get hit by a car in that crossing as a blind person. I feel that what Jasmina is trying. I mean, I can't say that I know what is Jasmina feeling, but I feel very anxious in that point.
Thank you. Jennifer is asking, do you still have Sawyer?
No, I sorry, I never mentioned that Sawyer died in April 18. Actually, April, what's today's? Yeah, he died April 18, 2015. And he left in a very beautiful way. It's all I can say, you know. And I think I still have Sawyer around.
Thank you.
Michelle's just saying, I'm so sorry for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rodrigo is asking, Carlos, can you tell us a bit about positive life experiences that you have here in Montreal?
Oh yeah, well, Rodrigo is a good friend of mine. Hi, Rodrigo. Hi, Kalik. um, I have a lot of them. Uh, I'm gonna tell you a funny one. Um, when I was very hungry, to 2010, I was looking for this place called the Resto Plateau, which is a soup kitchen. It's a community kitchen on the plateau, and somebody just told me how to get there, but she didn't tell me how to get there very well. So then I got out of the Montreal station, metro station, and um, they told me there was a church. So I started walking, and I got into a church. And then I didn't speak any French at that time, so they were like, bonjour, bonjour, I was like, huh? Oh my God, what is, I was like, no, I don't speak French, but I'm looking for the soup kitchen, like community kitchen. And then, oh, no, wait a second. And they call a woman, like a woman who very adult, like she was like in her 80s. And I think she was a nun. And she said, oh my God, are you hungry? And I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm just looking for a community kitchen. And she said, no, come with me. And she took me to the chicken place that is in front of Metro Mont Royal. And she invited me to eat a plate there. And I was like feeling very shy because I was not looking for her to pay me a meal, but I had to accept it at some point. And then she said, anytime you're hungry, you can come here. And I never went, never went back because I feel ashamed. But finally I found a community kitchen.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
yeah.
Tanya is saying you're a warrior with a big heart.
Oh, hi, Perrita. That's my good friend.
James is saying thank you for sharing that. And Zarima, also the presenter from just before you, is also saying thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, I want to give you a big thank you, Carlos, for coming on and giving this presentation and sharing so much about your experiences, such personal experiences too. I think that we all really appreciate it.
Me too. I really appreciate it, and I'm very happy to come here. I would rather to be in person, honestly, but I understand why we can't. And this is the first time I done that with this type of community, which is very special for me. So thank you very much to accept it.